Welcome once again to the Sage, and thank you. Thank you for the many Sage shows you have been a faithful audience. Thank you for sharing our journey. And particularly today, we want to thank you ahead for knowing you will be part of our next few shows on which we're going to focus on something extremely important for our nation, for our country, for us as a people. A few months ago, I would say about 7-8 months ago, on the Sage, we put out a call of action in which we called on our fellow Nigerians to come together, to again review our reality and recognize certain fundamental truths about ourselves. We asked you to reawaken to the fact that we are a great nation, that we are a great people, that we have been amply endowed with resources of every type, that it is real, it is our reality, and that millions and millions of us in this country are good people, that millions of us have worked, giving our lives, the better part of our lives, in making our Nigeria a country that should be worth living in. And we called and asked that those are many of us who constitute that silent majority need to reawaken and claim what is truly ours. We are endowed. The good Lord has blessed this country abundantly. If it's anything else, it's because we haven't claimed the God-given gifts we've been given. We asked that we rise up and take over our country as we should. We talked about the fact that silence is compliance to negativity. That majority of good people can no longer afford to keep quiet. And that this particular time in our history affords a unique opportunity for us to do what needs to be done, to reclaim our positive reality, to use the forthcoming national election as a starting point to recreate our future and make it what it should be for us and for our children to come. When we put out that call of action 8 months ago, it seemed like a wish, a dream. And yet, today, I personally believe we're beginning to see it come alive. In that call of action, we asked the millions of our young people who form close to 70 to 80% of the population of this country to take it in their stride, to claim the future that is theirs, and to recognize the fact that if things in 2023 are going to be better, it is them, the millions of young people who have the power to make a difference. And so in the next few episodes of The Sage, we look back and we feel specially privileged to discuss with some Nigerians, some whom we often make term as that silent positive majority, who have, despite the seemingly overwhelming odds and obstacles in our past, have continued to believe in our great country and have done their bit in whatever way they could to forward, to aid, to bring to reality that greatness. We showcase them, but there are many that we can never bring on the set to you. We are just touching a few. As a reminder to all of us that many of us have worked, many of us have continued to believe in a great Nigeria. And this is the time to remind us of that. And this is the time for all of us to join together, to work together, to make and claim the reality that is ours. As the discoverer on this our journey together, I have been able to reach out to a few, and I thank them for agreeing to come on set and talk to you. But there are many more out there who deserve to be here discussing their role, their part, who of necessity we will not be able to feature. But to our audience, may I also please humbly request that if there are others who you think deserve, that we need to bring on set to discuss and talk as an inspiration to all of us, please do reach out and contact us and suggest such persons, such names. We shall be very, very pleased to invite them to the show. And so having said that, I am delighted, absolutely delighted, to present my first guests on this series to you. But stay with us. When we come back, I will unveil the package. Thank you. Welcome back to The Sage, and thank you so much for remaining with us. My very first guest on The Sage gives me a great deal of pleasure. It's a guest that is not a stranger to The Sage. Indeed, he's featured before in a slightly different capacity. And yet, as I was thinking about people to ask, distinguished people to ask, to come discuss with us, I thought he fitted that category to perfection. And he's a remarkable young man, and therefore in every way qualifies to come here and sit here and tell us what has driven him and why he's so committed to this concept of a wonderful Nigeria, a great Nigeria. I have on set with me today no other than Dike Chukwumerije. Dike, you're welcome to The Sage.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back on the set. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You are an incredibly busy young man, a gifted, talented young man. But you always grace us, bless us by doing everything in your capacity to honor our invitations. And so thank you. I don't take it lightly. We don't take it lightly. The audience don't take it lightly. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the discussion, which is going to happen because you're a young man who is passionate and you speak your heart and you speak your truth. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
But before we go on to the discussion, let me do you justice and my audience justice by introducing you properly. Dike, as we all know, is a household name in Nigeria. But our audience is not just Nigeria. We on The Sage are proud of the fact that we do have a large international audience as well. And so for them as well, I will read your CV a little before we start the discussion.
Thank you.
Dike Chukwumerije is a Nigerian spoken word and performance poetry artist and an award-winning author. He has, in fact, published 8 books. Many of them have won awards in their own right. Dike was cited as one of the top 100 most influential Africans by the New African magazine way back in 2016. Dike is a member of the Abuja Literary Society and the host of the group's book jam and poetry slam. He has won several poetry grand slams in Nigeria, including the maiden edition of the African Poets Nigeria Grand Slam competition. He is one of Nigeria's most prolific performance poets, with 3 successful performance poetry videos and a live poetry show, which has run for many years. At TEDx Maitama in September 2017, and at the 23rd Nigeria Economic Summit in October 2017, Dike's rendition of his poem, The Wall and the Bridge, attracted widespread public attention to his message of the need for a national rebirth, a reawakening of social consciousness. At the platform on May 1, 2018, Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, recites Dike's poem, The Revolution Has No Tribe, during his remark on how young Nigerians are shaping the future and should shape the future. Dike Chukwumerije reminds us, he said, in his powerful poem, The Revolution Has No Tribe, that our destinies as Nigerians, no matter our tribe or religion, are tied together. What affects one affects all. Suffering knows neither tribe nor tongue. In November 15, 2018, he was a speaker alongside the Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka at the 5th Lafarge Africa National Literary Competition in Lagos to challenge leaders to do more about Nigeria's literature gap. His shows are now among the most anticipated events in Abuja, creatively fusing entertainment and a call for reawakening of national consciousness. Dike, this resounding end of your citation proves beyond doubt that you do indeed exemplify the kind of people we're bringing on set in the next few episodes, who, long before the rest of us perhaps woke up, had seen it in your mind, in your vision, in your dreams, in your passion, that we needed a reawakening. It is only when you are reawake that you live and claim the reality that is yours. So once again, thank you for being on set, and thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Always.
Dike, I'm going to ask you what led to this mission in your mind. For many of us, many things triggers our journey in life. Permit me, even before you speak, to say that for me, you're a kindred spirit. Mine began perhaps before you were born, many years ago, when as a little child, a young teenager, I represented this country in an international forum in the US. And my young mind woke up to the fact that I had every reason to be proud to be a Nigerian, and never forgot the 3 months I spent outside representing this country triggered a deep and lasting patriotism in my mind. For me, I usually sign that as the beginning of my own journey. What began yours?
Mine began in the cosmopolitan city of Lagos, where I was born and raised. And I was raised by parents that never really articulated an ethno-regional point of view. I was raised in a household, in a very Pan-Africanist household. My father was a committed Pan-Africanist. And I was raised in a house that had life-size paintings and portraits of people like Kwame Nkrumah, Che Guevara, and surrounded by books that spoke about Africa and African history. And I think children absorb. I wasn't told anything, but that energy that was created growing up, you sort of absorb it, you know. And I grew up in this community where there were people from all parts of the country. And I made friends with them, and those friendships were very defining and character forming. I was surrounded, I had the privilege, the blessing of having my character shaped at a young age by people from different parts and different religion. So I owe a huge part of who I am to people that didn't come from my tribe or didn't come from my religion. And I can't change that about myself. You know, a lot of my memories, my most precious memories, are buried in parts of the country that I'm not indigenous to by the conventional narrative. But it's almost like having your umbilical cord tied to certain places. And then there is this narrative that is artificially trying to cut that cord and saying, well, because you don't come from there, you can't draw meaning, you can't draw life, you can't draw vitality from these people or these parts of the country. So I was privileged to have been raised in Nigeria. Maybe my parents didn't do it intentionally, but that was the ecosystem in which I was raised. And by the time I came of age and began to confront or meet certain attitudes, I just found that my instinctive, my intuitive, my natural response to certain things was, no, I don't understand this. This doesn't resonate with me. Mm-hmm. You know, so when you grow up listening to Maria Makeba, you know, names like Patrice Lumumba are natural to you, things like that. You come to the table with a wider perspective, you know, than someone who, because I believe that your upbringing shapes you very strongly.
Yes, definitely.
So if you're born in Onitsha and you grow up in Onitsha, and there's a way you're going to look at the world. It will take you a while to realize that the world does not revolve around Onitsha. It takes a while, you know, but if from a young age you're exposed, you don't have to travel. Books were my first airplanes. I was surrounded by books.
That's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, I didn't leave this country till I was in my late teens, and it was to Cotonou. So I didn't travel to the West until I had graduated from university. But books were my first aeroplanes, and I was surrounded by them. And they talked about other cultures, other peoples. So you begin to realize that when you read and you get into the mindset of somebody else, that's why even till now I'm a great advocate for books, because they help you see the world through the eyes of other people. And the moment you can empathize with someone, you can't hate them. You can't hate somebody you understand, you know? So I was really blessed and fortunate to have been raised in an ecosystem like that, where my mind traveled early in life and encountered other cultures. Where when I went out to go to school, you know, I was born we're living in Shomolu. You know, by the time you're going to the island and you get on the bus and you hear different languages and you meet different people and you make friends. My best friend, you know, my first best friend was from Delta, what is today Delta. By the time I got to secondary school, then my next best friend was from Ogun State. And then the next one was from Bauchi. And this is before you even have the concept of tribalism and ethnicity. You've already made friends with people that have stamped their personality on your heart. You know, so I carry these people with me. You know, I remember at some point I left my parents' home and I lived with a couple, you know, from Delta, you know, it's that mix, you know, and I can never, it's who I am. I owe my faith, my hope, my optimism, my talent, my skill, my outlook to all these people that helped to shape me. And to become tribalistic would be to deny my own personal heritage, which I cannot.
Dike, that's beautiful, and I understand that. And as I look back too, I can see many similarities. But let me say, so that has positioned you sort of to love people, to not really see any difference between you and others and many others because of issues of tribe and so on. But how does it lead to a love of country? Can you move a step further?
Yes.
I mean, how did you now evolve into somebody? So it's not just about bonami, happily getting on with people. How did it translate to patriotism, to a love and a belief in a Nigeria, and a great one at that?
I'm one of those who I'm very acutely aware of how much I owe this country. You see, an education is the greatest thing that you can give to a person, a solid education. And Nigeria gave me an education almost for free. An education that allows me today to stand shoulder to shoulder with anybody from anywhere in the world. I went to a federal government college, King's College in Lagos. I went to the University of Abuja. My parents didn't pay much compared to what we have to pay today to send our children to private schools. And in these institutions, my mind was shaped, and I was given the gift of free and independent thought. I'm one of those people that are very proud of my Nigerian education. I remember in my JS1, it was my drama teacher, Ms. Ngurube, that helped me discover the fact that I had a flair for the dramatic and for writing what today I recognize as performance poetry or stage poetry. As a 10-year-old in King's College, she helped me discover that. And so many other teachers through the years that exposed me to this thing. So I owe that to my country. I owe the fact that I have this confident, can-do spirit as a Black person. I don't come into the world community with a chip on my shoulder. I'm very proud of my Africanness.
We must come together, work for peace, work to uphold our unity, show strength, show faith, one and all. Oh, come, cast aside ethnic rivalry, cast aside religious bigotry, show strength, show faith, one and all. Let's sing a song, let's sing a song. A song of love is all we need. Work for peace, let's fight for peace, one and all. We must work for peace. Together, break the chains of greed and hate. Work for peace in place of war. Show strength, show faith, one and all. Oh, come. Every tribe, every tongue be on guard. Stay strong, together we'll defeat. Show strength, show faith, one and all. Let's sing a song, let's sing a song of humanity, great humanity. Let's scale the walls, let's scale the walls. We must fight, we must fight, fight, fight. We must fight for peace. But we must work, work, work. We must work, work, work. We must work, work, work. We must work for peace.